ever done in 3 years of my NCC, that is the Air Force Academy Attachment Camp. It is going to be pretty insightful if there are AFA aspirants here in the meeting who would like to do this camp and also join the Indian Air Force in future. Before proceeding, let me quickly introduce myself. I did not meet so many among you in person because of the Republic Day parade. So I am, just a second. Yeah. I'm Cadet Warrant Officer Vaishnavi Tadikonda from 2 Telangana Squadron Technical NCC, and I'm from the very first batch of Anurag NCC. So these are a few things I've achieved so far. I got the DG commendation recently in 2023, and apart from that, I also got the DDG commendation. DG is Director General and DDG is Deputy Director General. And the camps that I've done, the remarkable camps that I've done, the Republic Day parade, Republic Day camp, where I was the best cadet of APMT Directorate from Senior Wing Air Force. And after going there, I was also selected for the aero modeling briefing to the Defense Minister of India, that is Shri Rajnath Singh. And I was also in the Hall of Fame briefing. And among all the camps that I've been, the most beautiful camp was without a doubt Air Force Academy Attachment Camp. I've done that in 2022 in the month of June. In my entire NCC, I've done 8 camps. So how many of you have heard about AFA attachment or know about AFA attachment? Quick hand raises, or can you all unmute and just tell me? Yes, Denzel has heard about it. So let me give you really nice insights which will help you understand the procedure and also the camp in a better way. So the picture you're seeing is the prestigious Air Force Academy. Now, this Air Force Academy, there's only one Air Force training center in entire India. That is in Hyderabad, Dundigal. Whereas for Army, there are 3 different centers, and for Navy, there is 1. So Air Force Academy is located in Hyderabad, where all the people who make it to the merit list after clearing their AFCAT or CDS and SSB go there. So there are different branches in the Indian Air Force. So the first training happens in AFA, where cadets do their 6 months of junior term. And then all the technical officers would move to Bangalore and the remaining cadets would stay there. There is different duration for different courses. For example, if you're selected for pilot entry, then you'll be having 1.5 years of training, but for other branches, it is 1 year of training. So Air Force Academy is the place where all the Air Force officers are trained. So this actually is a place that would make leaders. So now, how can NCC cadets go there, and why are we going there in the first place? Why are NCC cadets being sent to the Air Force Academy? That is one question all of us have, and I had it when I was in the initial days of my NCC. So the answer for this, the objectives of this camp are, it is to introduce Air Force aspirants to the daily regime of a flight cadet. Now, flight cadets are the trainees who are being trained in the Air Force, and flight cadets are supposed to be the people who will be eventually flying officers in the future. So cadets in NCC, they will be introduced to the regime, to the day-to-day regime of flight cadets in Air Force Academy. So the 15-day camp will show you a glimpse, a very small glimpse of how their life in the academy is. The second and the most important objective is to motivate youths to become air warriors. Now, there are people who join NCC for various different reasons. Now, to those who are actually passionate about joining the forces, who are actually passionate about joining the Indian Air Force, to be specific. Now, these cadets are usually encouraged to go to this camp, and they get to see things. They get to understand what they're preparing for. They get to understand what they're going to get into. This camp also gives you insights about the Indian Air Force. Now in NCC, despite being in Air Wing, there are so many people, there is so much you do not know about Air Force. So you will get various different insights that nobody else could provide if you go to AFA for 15 days. There you'll talk to people, you'll talk to officers, flight cadets, you'll see things for yourself. So this also provides you about the insights into the Air Force, and it will also introduce you different branches. Now, whenever people say Air Force, the first thing that comes to your mind is a pilot. And if you use some more brain, you might think of an ATC officer. But there are various different branches in the Air Force. So once you go into the academy, you read about them, but you do not really understand. When I say Met officer, you cannot relate to it. But once you go there and you see people, you'll understand their job and their work in detail. This will also give you an introduction to different branches, and this will actually help you while you are preparing for your SSB, because some people might think being pilot is the best, but once you go there, you see the work of an ATC officer and you might like it better. So this will show you about the different branches, and you can choose your branch accordingly once you're appearing for your SSB. And it will also show you the accessible acquisitions in the Air Force. When I say acquisitions, I'm talking about the aircrafts, I'm talking about the technology that Air Force is using. So it, this camp will help you look at all the acquisitions that are available in Hyderabad, that are accessible in Hyderabad. You'll also understand about AFCAT in a better way, because there will be regular classes throughout the 15 days. You'll also get tips and training to clear SSB. Now, everybody over there, apart from you people, everybody, be flight cadets or the Air Force officers, everybody has gone through SSB. So you will have classes about SSB by Air Force officers. And when you're in your rooms, if you really want to know more personalized thing, or if you want to go beyond the books, you can also talk to the flight cadets and ask their experience. So you'll also get really good SSB coaching if you make it to the camp. You can have good mentorship, you can have guidance, and you can build your network with the people in the Air Force. When I was doing the camp, I made so many friends who are still in touch with me, and they're officers in the Indian Air Force. So they might help me. They will help me if I ever reach out. So you can also build a very good network with people in the AFA who will help you no matter what. Moving ahead, selection procedure. I can tell you about my selection procedure. I am not sure if this has been changed or if there is a change, but the basic selection procedure is, first we had a DST. All the interested people were called to the unit. It can happen in both the ways. You'll either get a message asking all the interested people to appear for the selection, or the the CTO will be getting a message asking him to recommend a few cadets to go to the selection procedure. It could be either ways, and that depends completely on the unit. So when we were doing it, all the interested people were asked to appear for the selection procedure. We had a DST first, and some people were filtered from DST, and they were asked to write an exam. So we had an exam, and the subjects were specialized subject and general knowledge. There were also a few questions about the Air Force. So first DST, and then a written exam, and then the commanding officer, he conducts lecturers, and then he also conducts a one-on-one interview after all of this. So this is how usual selection procedure happens for most of the camps. So AFA is also one such camp which has all the procedures, but this could vary from one time to other. And the eligibility of this camp is, you should either be pursuing your B certificate or C certificate. And it would be better if you're an Air Force aspirant, because if you're not an aspirant in the first place, going to AFA, learning their resume, looking into the deeper picture would not make any sense. It would make sense only if you are actually aspiring and if you're serious about getting into the Indian Air Force. Now, if you are representing to the Telangana Air Squadron or Secunderabad group, you should also have good communication and presentation skills, because once you go there, you should be aware of what you're supposed to speak and how you're supposed to behave. These are some eligibility criteria. And let me give you a few more insights about AFA. So the first thing is, Air Force Academy Attachment Camp happens twice a year. Usually all the camps, they happen once a year, apart from ATCs. The national camps and national camps happen once a year, but AFA happens twice a year. If you ask me why and how, so every course in AFA, every officer course, they pass out once in 6 months. So in the month of June, one passing out parade happens, and in the month of December, other course passes out. So it happens once in every 6 months. For example, now there is 213 course in Air Force Academy where a set of officers are being passed out, they're commissioned, and they are going to their respective stations. So Air Force Academy, it runs on half of the strength because all the seniors left the academy. So in the vacant rooms, they usually call cadets, NCC cadets, and they allot the rooms which are vacant. During this time, the other juniors of the academy, they will either be in the academy or they'll be on vacation. So this is how people accommodate NCC cadets. If you look at the list of national camps, the best national camp, I'm talking about the national camps, not international ones. So among national camps, the best national camp is Republic Day Parade. The most difficult and the best one is Republic Day Parade, apparently. Then comes Vayu Sena camp, Vayu Sainik camp, Thal Sainik and Nau Sainik camp. And then comes the attachment camps. But what I believe, I've done RDC and I've done AFA. I found AFA to be more enriching and full of learnings when compared to AFA. If I look at it in the point of view of the service that I am aspiring to join. And my seniors and everybody, if you talk to anybody and everybody from different directorates, they say AFA is, they call Air Force Attachment Camp Jannat. When I say Jannat, Jannat literally translates to heaven. So everybody who have been through this camp, you can ask the seniors about it, you can ask the super seniors about it, they'll tell you that it was indeed heaven, because those 15 days were the best 15 days of my entire NCC journey. Let me tell you more about those 15 days. I'll talk about them in detail. So this is the flight cadet mess. These are the rooms. This is the corridor where the rooms are being allotted, and these 4 people are from my unit. So usually the vacancy of this camp is very less. For example, 1 cadet per unit is the usual vacancy. So when I was supposed to, when I was doing it, there was only 1 vacancy, and my co-cadet Venkat Narsimha was selected for this because there was only 1 vacancy, and that was also only for an SD. So Venkat Narsimha was selected for this camp and he was supposed to go. So he had good times. If you want to go to this camp, you need to first fill the camp certificates. You need to take the signature of your CTO, your registrar, and then the commanding officer. You need to get a medical officer signature, and most importantly, you're supposed to get a police verification, which would usually take 2 days. So my co-cadet Venkat Narasimha, he had ample time to go through the entire procedure. But this was the time when Agniveer scheme was announced by the Indian government. And if you all remember, Secunderabad station, so many people came down and started protesting in Secunderabad station, which led to cancellation of many trains. So cadets from different directorates who were supposed to come in trains, they were not able to come. So the ones who are coming in flight, they somehow made it, but the ones who are supposed to come in trains, they could not come. So this suddenly opened up a vacancy for those who are in Hyderabad, because already an agreement has been made with Air Force Academy that we are sending 30 number of cadets. Now, if they do not send that number of cadets, if they only send 10 to 12, it would not look good. So the vacancy suddenly opened up, and back then, 1 day before the camp, my co-cadet and your senior cadet under officer Ravi Teja got a call saying he is supposed to go to AFA the next day. So he had good 24 hours to get all the documents right, because if your documents are not right, there is no way they're letting you inside AFA, because it is highly, things are pretty strict there. You cannot click pictures every now and then. You just cannot click pictures of the entire AFA. There are so many confidential things. So if your papers are not right, they will not let you inside the gates. So Ravi Teja had 24 hours to take care of the entire thing. And I really wanted to do this camp, and I was very disappointed because I was not able to do it. I had a hope that because of the vacancies, I might get a call, but I did not until the next day. So the next day I came to college. I was going through the routine, the boring routine, and I was very sad about it. And I remember I was sitting in the canteen and I was having my lunch. So at around 12:40, I got a call from Sergeant Majumdar from my unit. He was like, "Where are you?" I said, "I'm in college." He's like, can you get the papers ready in another 10-15 minutes? Can you get them signed? I said, I can try. I ran to the D block. I got the printouts. I got necessary signatures. Our CTO was on leave, so I could not get his signatures. I ran errands from one corner to other corner, running behind registrar's ma'am's office, taking permissions from my department. I ran a lot on that day. And once the papers in college level are done, I still had to get a doctor's signature and the most important thing, police verification. So I remember booking a cab from Thadkesar to my house. I went to get a doctor's signature, and then I was asked to report in the unit at 4 o'clock. All of this was happening at 1 o'clock. I barely had time. I went to the police station, and the inspector was just about to leave the police station, and I requested him to sign on the papers somehow. He looked at my ID proof, and luckily he signed it. If I would be 5 minutes late, I would just not make it to the Air Force Academy for this camp. So once all of this was done, I only had 10 minutes to pack for a 15 days camp. Usually when you're doing your first camp or when you're doing your second, this was my second camp in NCC. You usually think a lot, what am I supposed to take? What am I supposed to not take, etc., etc. There were things like formals, tie, formal shoes, ceremonials. We did not have any of them. So one of my co-cadets went to Lal Bazaar and she did shopping for all of us, and we were packing our bags in 10 minutes. I only had 10 minutes. My mom was running around the house. I was running around, just stuffing things in the suitcase, and then I left for the unit. Once I reached the unit, our ID cards were made, our papers were verified, CO signed them, he gave us a briefing, and there was a canter that had people from 1 TS Squadron Hyderabad group and 2 TS Squadron Secunderabad group. All of us reached AFA at 10 in the night, around 10. So when the canter was entering Air Force Academy, all of us almost had tears in our eyes because we never thought he would make it. It was a dream for all of us. It was a dream for all of us, and we never thought he would make it. It was such an emotional moment when we were entering the gates of AFA. So once we entered, all of us, the head count was taken, and we were taken to FCM, which is called the Flight Cadet Mess. Now, Flight Cadet Mess is the place where the trainees usually stay. There are rooms in FCM. Once we reached, we were briefed about our daily routine, and we also had our dinner in the mess. I'll talk about the mess in the next slide. So this was our daily routine. We had to wake up at 5 in the morning. We had to fresh up and get ready. But from 5:30 to 6:45, we used to have outdoor training, that is PT. And then breakfast at 7 o'clock. There are some rules for mess, so you just cannot go and have breakfast like that. I'll talk about this in the subsequent slides. And after your breakfast, they take us to Tejas Parade Ground, and we had drill there. After a very good drill session, we were taken to classes at ground or flying faculty. Some days it was, most of the days it was ground faculty, and some days flying faculty. So in civil terms, Department of Computer Science Engineering. The department is nothing but faculty in FOJ. So this is Department of Ground and Department of Flying, to keep them in layman terms. So they were different buildings. So we had classes there, and then after classes we walked back and we had lunch. After lunch we had 2 hours of time to chill and to sleep, sometimes take a quick nap or talk to friends or talk to people around. And then we had games and sports at 4 o'clock in the evening, and we had tea at 8 o'clock. Tea at 6 o'clock, and dinner was served at 7:30. After 7:30, there was night muster at 8:15. Night muster is nothing but the head count. They count if all of you are there. They just take a okay report from all of you. And then there are strict lights out at 10 o'clock. You are not supposed to switch on the light no matter what. So lights should be out at 10 o'clock. If some cadet is found to be having lights on, they're usually punished. So this is a daily routine on a normal day in AFA. So we also had to go through this routine for the cadets who are being trained. Flying and their syllabus is also included, but for us, this was the basic routine. I hope I'm not going too fast. Are you all with me? Are you all getting it? Can someone?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So let me talk about the mess of Indian Air Force Academy. So how many of you have seen Harry Potter? Anyone among you? Did you see Harry Potter? Nobody? So yes, Harshini has seen Harry Potter. So yeah. Did you see the mess in Harry Potter? Huge tables, four flags of four different houses. FO's Academy's mess is exactly same. I would say even beautiful. There are so many tables, and seating capacity could easily be of 500. So there are very long tables. There are six huge flags of six swans of the Indian Air Force, and food is served in between. You are supposed to serve yourself. Waiters keep refilling the bowls, and the food is amazing in Air Force Academy. No camp would give you such good food. There are so many rules when you are supposed to go to a mess to have food. For example, the basic rule is you cannot go in any outfit. You are either supposed to wear a uniform or you're supposed to wear muftis. Mufti is what I'm wearing right now. So it is either uniform or muftis. If you are in tracksuits or if you are in your PT kits, you are not allowed into the mess. So that is very strict about mess. And there are also certain set of etiquettes all of us are supposed to follow. So this is how AFA's mess looks like. This is one view, but the other side of the mess is very, very big. So AFA's mess is huge and the most beautiful ones I've seen. I'll talk about all the things in detail. So outdoor training, the morning PT, it is called ODT. So we first go to the ground and we jog, then we sprint. Some days it is yoga. We either have mass PT or there are days when all of us had good ragda sessions by Manoj sir and other PI staff from 1TS quadrant. And we also had relay and we end the ODT by doing stretching. So this really helped all of us to stay fit. It really helped all of us to have a fresh mind early in the morning. So this was how ODT used to happen. These are some pictures of the ground and all of us. In the first picture, we were asked to bend. In the second picture, we were doing frog jumps as a part of Ragda. So if you do something stupid, then probably you'll have Ragda in the next morning. Moving ahead, we also had foot drill. Foot drill is where you learn the basic drill movements, Savdhan Vishram, Daine Bai, Piche Mud, sizing, dressing. They'll teach you how to do Kadwar. They'll teach you how to do fall in, fall out, joining a blank file, taste, chal, salutes, piche mode, and dheere chal. So all the things that exist in foot drill are being taught on the Tejas Parade Ground in FO's Academy. And I'm not sure about all of you, but when I was entering the parade, I do not like drill. The last person who would like doing drill is me. But those 15 days, I used to look forward for drill sessions because the parade ground is beautiful. It is a beautiful tar parade ground with, the ones you see in televisions during passing out parade. It was such kind of a parade ground, and the entire energy once you step into the parade ground is different. You might experience some of you might experience it in the subsequent camps. You'll understand what I'm trying to tell you. So foot drill, the only time I enjoyed doing drill was in FO's Academy. And when I say classes, I had to take a picture from internet because phones are not allowed in the mess and in the classes. So usually classes take place after foot drill. We have a gap of 30 minutes. And after 30 minutes, we are asked to report to the classes. They'll tell us about Indian Air Force. They'll talk about the history of Air Force. In some classes, they'll tell us about untold stories, about the wars. You read things on internet, but you get the actual details when you listen it from the mouths of people who have been there. So untold stories. And then you also get personality development classes. They'll tell you each and everything about SSB procedure, tips, tricks, everything. So I've never heard about SSB in more detail. There were 2-3 days dedicated for SSB and different officers gave you different insights. Then there were classes about navigation. They taught us about acquisitions in the Air Force. They asked a few questions. So there were so many classes and mostly we had an insight about Air Force. When I was not doing this camp, I had very less knowledge of Air Force from the pressy or from the internet. The knowledge you get about Air Force is close to 10% or even less. But once you get into once you do this camp, you will reach somewhere around 30 to 35%, and you might get more insights if you join the Air Force. So this is all about classes. Moving ahead, in the evening, we have games and sports period. This was the picture of the girls' team. We usually have warm up in the beginning. We were asked to run. We run every day, and then the games we play are volleyball, football, basketball, throwball, and cricket. You can choose your game, and you can have your team, and you can play. So this was the time where all of us started bonding with each other. There are people from Gujarat directorate, Maharashtra directorate, Karnataka, etc. So we got time to bond with them. We got time to talk to them and have fun. So this was, I usually am not a sports person. I'm not really into sports and all, but this was the time where I actually enjoyed sports. This was all about sports. Moving ahead, we also learned mess etiquettes in mess. There is no one who would come and teach you mess etiquettes. You have to learn it somehow by looking at the cadets who are usually having their food. So first thing is you're supposed to dress smartly. You cannot dress shabbily. You cannot just take dirty shoes and go inside the mess hall. You cannot go in your PT rigs or casual clothes. You are supposed to wear perfectly ironed uniform or muftis with a tie or a scarf. That is first thing. You cannot just go in a group. You're supposed to form files, and you're supposed to walk smartly. You're supposed to walk with hand movements, and you're supposed to walk in twos. That is one way to enter the mess. And while sitting on the chair, you're supposed to sit from the left side, and then once you finish, you're supposed to get up from the right side. You just cannot sit from any side. So once you're entering, and you're before starting a meal, you're supposed to enter from the left side, and after finishing a meal, you have to get up from the right side and leave. There is a way to open a plate. There is something called opening a plate. Then there is something called closing a plate. So before eating, you open a plate, eat, and then you close a plate. You are supposed to use cutlery. You cannot place fork, spoon, and knife just like that in whatever way you want. So once you place, if there is a fork is always on your left hand and spoon is on your right hand. So if the fork and spoon are placed in cross, that means you did not finish yet and you will be taking more food. But if you put them parallelly, that means you are done with your plate and the waiter can take the plate away. So there are some rules about cutlery. There is a certain way spoons are placed on your table. There is a certain way. There's a certain spoon for certain things. You cannot use dessert spoon for your dinner. You cannot use your dinner spoon for your dessert. So these are the mess etiquettes, and they're very important if you sit in a formal setup or if you join Forge in future. It is really important, and there are also certain set of rules about serving food on your plate. For example, a plate has the Air Force logo, and the Air Force logo is supposed to be at 12 o'clock. There is a designated space to put rice. There is a designated space to put curries that has gravy, and there is designated space to put salad. And the rotis or the bread, it is never placed on the main plate. There is a bread plate which is on the left side. So there are so many rules, and you learn about them once you get into once you go to this camp. So this is one major thing that I learned. I had no idea about mess etiquettes before doing the AFA camp. I used to eat in a very disorganized way. It was a clutter, but once I got into AFA, I've been more disciplined when it comes to eating food. And there are special days as well. So on special days, we have special visits. We do something more than the routine. So for example, on one day, they'll take you to the second block. They'll show you the runway, and they'll also show you Pilates. So when second block, did anyone among you see the AFA passing out parade? There is blue color everywhere. That is the second block. The first picture of AFA I showed you is the second block, where the runway is also there. They'll show you the second block. You see the runway, and then you also see Pilates. Pilates is the trainer aircraft. All the pilots who are being trained, they usually fly Pilates first. So when I say they show us Pilates, it is not just seeing Pilates. There are 2-3 technical NCOs who will be telling you about each and every detail. They'll take you to the Pilates. They'll show you the rudders. They'll show you flaps, slats, etc. They'll show you the cockpit. You also get to sit in the cockpit and come out So you get very good insights about pilatus. And one day you have a visit to Air Force Station Hakimpet. So there are three Air Force camps in Hyderabad. First one is the Air Force Academy. Then there is Air Force Station Hakimpet, and then there is Air Force Station Begumpet. All of you must have been to Air Force Station Begumpet for your riflery. So one day they take us on a visit to Air Force Station Hakimpet, where they also tell us about Kiran and Chetak. Kiran is a trainer aircraft and Chetak is a trainer helicopter. And in Air Force Station Hakimpet, they also show you the air traffic control, and they show you operations of ATC. ATC officers will brief you about the entire proceedings, because they'll also show you how a flight lands, how a flight takeoffs, how the pilot takes permission. So you'll be standing in the ATC and looking at the runway, and you'll be looking at all the flights, the sorties being functioned. So when you go to Kiran, the instructors of Kiran, squad leaders or wing commanders, they'll tell you about Kiran. They'll tell you how it functions, etc. What are the specialities of Kiran? And the same thing for Chetak. So there are two aircrafts in Hakimpet. One is Kiran and one is Chetak. So do you all know about trifurcation in the Air Force? Anyone? It's a yes or no question. Can I quickly have responses? Do you know about trifurcation, how Air Force officers are assigned to their respective streams? Anyone? No?
No, ma'am.
Can someone say something? Put up a message. No. So this is a simple thing. So trifurcation is where, see, if Air Force officers, if the cadets are being trained, they have 1.5 year of training in AFA, and after the 1.5 year, they are divided into 3 different streams: fighters, transport, and helicopters. So all the ones who are streamed into fighters, they go to Bidar, which is in Karnataka, and all the people who are given transport, they go to Yelanka in Bangalore, and the ones who get helicopters, they come to Hakimpet to fly Chetak. And during 1.5 year of their pilot training, they fly pilatus for 1 year, and then some people, among half the population, are sent to Hakimpet to fly Kiran. So this is how Kiran and Chetak are used. And then this is trifurcation. Trifurcation is classification of pilots into their respective streams. This is based on the vacancy, merit, etc. So the ones who are trifurcated into helicopters, they first come to Hakimpet and learn to fly on Chetak. So I think they'll also take you. I'm not sure if they took you to Air Force Station Hakimpet during your annual training camp, because during our annual training camp they did. I'm not sure if they did it this time, but if yes, you'll know what I'm talking about. You also see the ATC, and then there is something in AFA, there is something called AMTC. Now, AMTC is where, if there is someone if there's a trainee who has, who is scared of heights, who is scared of ejection, or who has, claustrophobia, they'll be sent to AMTC, where there's a very big simulator called ejection simulator. So how many of you know how ejection happens in an aircraft? How does a pilot eject? Anyone? Ashrita, do you know?
It opens and then they get ejected with the seat.
Yes. So usually what happens is there is only one aircraft in AFA, that is pilatus. So to eject from a pilatus, the pilot has to, after the proceeding, what happens is the canopy, it just breaks, and the seat, you eject along with the seat, and then the parachute open, and the seat would be, the cockpit would be leaving the pilot, and that is how a pilot ejects safely. So there could be some people, so each and every cadet has to go through a simulator ejection so that he or she understands the force, because ejection does not happen very slowly. It happens, it happens in a fraction of a second, and it is extremely scary. So all the cadets are also put on an ejection simulator where they're supposed to, where it is similar, where there is a seat and there's a very long cord, and once do the proceedings of an ejection, they are just transported to the top. So this happens. This is an ejection simulator, and they also took us to show, and it was one of the best experiences I've ever had. Sorry. Also in AFA, there is also a simulator of Pilatus where an Air Force officer will be showing you how a simulator is supposed to be flown. I'm sure some of you have seen the simulator of virus in our directorate. Similarly, there is a simulator of Pilatus, which is more organized, which is more, realistic, because there is an actual cockpit and there is screen on all the sides. So they also took us to show the simulator. And when we were taken on another day, we were taken on a visit to Air Force Station Begumpet. In Air Force Station Begumpet, there is one aircraft called Avro. So all the people who are removed from flying due to either disciplinary issues or due to medical issues, they are usually put in navigation. So navigation trainees are sent to Begumpet, and their training happens on Avro. Avro is one aircraft which is modified, which is a dying fleet. Avros will no longer be there maybe after 2025. So Avro is used to train the navigation trainees. So we were also shown how navigation takes place. We were taken inside the Avro. We were also shown the instruments people use for navigation, and there is a logistics department in Air Force Station Begumpet. Now, logistics department in the Air Force, it deals with all the logistic things. So the tagline was from Sui to Sukhoi, even a small thread to the entire Sukhoi. Everything comes under logistics. So we were also taken through the logistics in AFS Begumpet. This was also a very insightful visit. And wherever we go, there are archives, there are museums, there are galleries. We were also given insights about all of them. So these were the special days. And the most important thing was a cultural evening where all of us were preparing for cultural programs like dance, music. It is similar to Bada Khana, but this is more refined and a sophisticated Bada Khana when compared to the ones we usually have. So this is where we invite the Air Force officers as our guests, and ex-NCC cadets who are now trainees in AFA, they also join us. We had a blast on our cultural evening. It was one of the best. I'll now take you through some pictures. Just a second. So this is the Secon block I was talking about. This is the Secon block, and this is the Pilatus. Can anyone unmute and tell me who is Flying Officer Secon? Does anybody have an idea about Flying Officer Nirmaljeet Singh Secon?
Ma'am, he's the first officer from Indian Air Force to be awarded Paramveer Chakra posthumously.
Yes, he was the first officer in the Air Force to be awarded with the highest gallantry award in wartime, that is Paramveer Chakra, and he is the only Air Force officer so far. So this block is named after Flying Officer Nirmaljeet Singh Secon, and this is the Pilatus that the cadets usually take training on. And this is where the runway is there. This aircraft, does anybody know what is this? Can anybody tell me? This is Kiran. Kiran is there in Hakimpet. They also show us Kiran. This is Kiran, and this is the helicopter Chetak, the only helicopter that is there in India, Chetak. Kiran and Chetak are also, we really got a very close look. We got to click pictures with this. Pictures are not yet there with us, but yeah, it was a very insightful visit. And this is the Avro. Now, Avros are not used on any missions. They're only used to train the navigation officers, where one instructor sits and there are 5 to 6 pupils, and they all navigate an Avro. A pilot flies Avro and all the other people, they navigate. So Avro is only used for navigation purposes. In Hyderabad, there are 4 different kinds of aircrafts. Pilatus, I would say 5. I'm also counting the microlight. There is Virus, there is Pilatus, there's Kiran, Chetak, and Avro. This is the simulator on the left side. The picture on the left side is the simulator of Pilatus. This is a simulator where a pilot enters it, and he'll be having an actual real-time view of a cockpit. The screens are also pretty, they're of high quality, and you get to fly it. We only had a view of the open simulator. This is the ejection simulator I was talking about. A pilot sits here and he'll be flying, and then there'll be an emergency given to him and he's supposed to eject. So once he ejects, this cockpit will be going all the way through the rod to a height of, I'm not sure, to a height, and then that is how he'll be understanding how ejection happens in real time. These are the two simulators I was talking about. Moving ahead, this is FCM. FCM stands for Flight Cadet Mess. B23, it is Bravo 23. Bravo was the block where we stayed. 23 was the number of my room. I really have fond memories here. And these were my co-cadets and juniors who were a part of the camp along with me. So usually, and these pictures were taken in the corridor of Flight Cadet Mess. And this was the picture from a cultural evening where there is one Air Force officer, and there were some flight cadets who were ex-NCC cadets, and they also came to celebrate the evening with us. They also gave us tips. We had a group discussion. We spoke about their experiences. We had so many doubts about SSBs. There are so many misconceptions which were cleared by them. And this was a formal meeting with the ANO and the officer. We also had an informal meeting where we got to know more about Air Force. You know, they only show you the glamorous part. We also got to know about the gray part. And it was a beautiful amalgamation of both. And these are some pictures from our cultural evening after we had dinner. And this is a court where all of us were interacting with the flight cadets. So the ones here on the other side were flight cadets. There are two different kinds of uniforms they're wearing, if you notice. They're muftis. So the ones who are in gray and white, they are the senior most in the academy. And the ones who are wearing white on white, they are their immediate juniors. So the senior junior culture is very strong in AFA or any academy for that matter. And all of them were ex-NCC cadets, and they were interacting with us and telling us things about their journey from NCC to the Indian Air Force. What kind of challenges did they face before getting into, and what kind of challenges are they facing now? What are the plus points? Why should we join Air Force? So all of us were very motivated because of this, because if you listen to some officer talking, you see him as an officer. But these people are barely 3 or 4 years older than us, and you look at them like your fellow mates, like your friends. And this is more personalized experience, and it motivates you to another level, trust me. So this evening was one of the best evening in AFA. The one you're seeing on my left is a poem called If. I would ask all of you after this meeting, all of you to Google about it, read the entire poem, and this will give you a new insight into your life. This is one poem that is kept on every wall of every academy in India. So this is a beautiful poem by Rudyard Kipling, and it will also keep you motivated. And on the right is the Air Warriors honor code. So this is one promise all the Air Warriors make, and they always abide as long as they are in the service or even after service. With this, I hope I was helpful. I hope I gave you pretty good insights about the entire camp, right from the selection process, to my experience, to the resume of the camp. Nevertheless, if you have any doubt regarding this, I'm open to take questions, and I'm open to clear your doubts about it.